Everyone has something to share, in either wisdom, story, or logic, and it's clearly amazing to hear all the differing missing links discovered by people, unique to their own journeys, and in how they have come to discover them. Together, we can help to build a bigger picture for a better future, for a brighter tomorrow. Let's stand united. Let's remove the veils, and let's create a new world together. Are you that missing link? Join Jesse Hale on the Missing Link Talk Show as he helps to unveil the mystery through the unique wisdom and story of others.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everybody here back to the Missing Link. Today we're excited to talk to the bearer of a controversial Native American flag, is a Native American activist of the Cree Nation. His grandfather, Norbert Rabbitskin, was a political driving force from the Big River Indian Reservation, who received a medallion from Queen Elizabeth, whom also was a part of the 1984 Accord, where many First Nations and Meti fought together for the human rights of its aboriginals. Adrien is a proud Cree who seeks to instill education on the most powerful symbol they have, the swastika. And we just had Adrien a couple days ago, and he's here to share an update on what happened on Canada Day with the Thunderbird flag. How are you doing today, Adrien Thomas?
I am doing fine, my friend. Thank you for having me on your show once again. I guess we can just talk about yesterday, right to the point. So, I got a phone call from the crew yesterday in regards to what needed to be happening. And believe me, they were all scared. I mean, it's understandable having fear, especially, with the threats of the Canadian government and, the police, you know what I mean? And so having to deal with that, like, I wouldn't do justice, like I said, if I didn't try to talk to them out of it too. But these women basically told me just to shut the F up and let me do the job, because, that is their calling as women for their children. They said, like, they can't live with themselves if something happened, or if nothing kind of came through with just getting through this ordeal themselves. So it was more or less a spiritual awakening for them, and not only that, walking down their path as well too. And then they decided, we're going to do this. So and I had to do a prayer with Rose, and we did a prayer, and she was crying, and her husband was crying, and I said, she says, no, I got to do this because Angel is up there as well too at the monument. And so I got a phone call right away, because she said, I don't know where Angel is, but that's where I'm going to go. So we did a prayer. We hung up, and right as soon as I was done hanging up with Rose, Angel gave me a phone call. She says, I had to go do a prayer. I had to wait for the right timing. I'm over here now, brother. We're just going to wait here for a bit. They're everywhere. The cops are everywhere. I could see them. I know where they're over there, and the cops are right around. They're walking around. You could just see them. And I says, oh, okay. I told her that Rose is on her way. She's on her way on that side. Okay, that's perfect. So I hung up. I had to let him be. That's all I had to do, is let him be. But here's the funny thing. I was up in Mirror, Alberta, meeting a lot of people, as I was doing my rounds, and I got there and I was talking to people and everything like that. And I got updates, little small updates, like we're doing this now and everything. That's cool. I said, be careful, because we already had other people talk about other things that I don't want to talk about, the group that, got some stuff confiscated and got watched, you know what I mean? But just the story itself is kind of significant, really significant. Then I got a phone call about 5 o'clock, and she said, I got to tell you something. And also I got another message from Matt and all these people, like, this is insane. You don't know what happened today. Like, this is different. This is crazy. Because what I told the cops yesterday with our call, I said, all they need and from the Longhouse and all these people down here is we just need to bring the Thunderbird flag to the House of Power to have a ceremony. That's all it was about, is to have the ceremony so that way we understand, and at the same time do the walk that they needed to happen, especially with the ceremony, just so that way it's a spiritual awakening ceremony for our people. Anywho, that was besides the fact. That was when I was talking to the police officers. They said they were gonna charge us and arrest them and charge with hate crime, you name it. Neither here or there. So what has happened? As soon as I hung up with Angel because she was at the monument, somebody came walking out of nowhere, and he said, "I had to be here." He says, "You're the person." He pointed out to her, "You're that person." And Angel's like, "What are you talking about? Who are you?" She was very right in his face. "Who are you? Where did you come from?" No, I come in peace. Don't worry about it. I come in peace. But you're that person. And there's like, what is? And this is I'm just paraphrasing exactly what was said to me, because what the information she told me is exactly what I'm going to tell you, and I'm not going to say too much on something if I don't know, but I'll just tell you what she has said. So she was kind of like pushing him about, "Why are you here? Who are you?" I said, "I came from the West. I got sent from the West." From the West. So she thought it was naturally me that sent this guy over there from BC. She says, "Yeah, I came over here, and I'm not here to threaten you. I'm here to, And he says, "Okay, if you say what is true, we must smudge, do a smudge each other so our words are right." So and so they started smudging. By this time, Rose shows up. She's watching everything, but she's smudging the soldier because he was a soldier. He had a whole bunch of probably a vet, but he had a whole bunch of medallions. He was high ranking, vet. So he starts smudging. What do you call? I can't hear you. I think you're on pause. I think.
Yeah. So some high ranking soldier just came out of nowhere, walked right up to her and said, "I need to meet you." Like for some reason he needed to be there, and he came from the West, and nobody knew who this was, and nobody knew, there was no plan or anything for this guy to come there. This was just out of the blue. Some stranger came up and knew who to talk to.
Yes. So naturally speaking, this is what Angel said. She thought that I sent them over there, or he must have seen something. You know what I mean? So, anyways, she was smudging him, and then she stopped. She says, "Something's wrong. Something's wrong. You have something on you. You must tell me who you are, because I could feel something." And then he said, he took off his hat, and he basically, I don't know what he provided to her, but he said, my name is this, and I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew." And then she's like, "What? You're a Jew?" He says, and because you remember what they were talking about, this hate symbol and everything like that. It's just so ironic that he had to show up here. And so after everything, Rose came in, and they started doing a prayer in Hebrew, and also started talking about certain things, and they started doing the smudge and everything. And he says, "Before this happens, I'm going to tell you this." She brings out the documentation from the clans mothers that are from the Cree elders that came over here and put it together, right? And he talked about the history, what it means, talks about coming together in unity, talking about we're taking back this symbol, and talking about this. And then she stops and she tells him, "You cannot bring this back. Your guys' wars are this, and everything like that in a way," but she's kind of like putting it out there because she has to stand her ground on certain things. And then she shows him the symbol. She shows him the flag, and then he stops and he just starts crying. He just starts crying. And then he says, "Okay," and then "I'll be right back." And then he turns around and he walks up that hill. And then we don't know what's going on. So that's what they said. The girls, "Well, I don't know who this is, but maybe Adrien sent him or something happened, but he come here and he said that he was sent, So I don't know, maybe from him." So they're there and they're looking at everybody and everything. And then they came back, and that about 5-10 minutes later, that soldier comes back. Okay, you're safe now. You can go up there anytime, and I promise you, nothing will happen. Are you sure? You see them all over the place. You see them, the cops over there, the cops over there. There's snipers on us. You can see them over there. Everybody is here. Are you sure? Because you can see the cops all around that area. He says, no, I promise you, I'll protect you. And he says, all they needed was a ceremonial, do a ceremony up there. It wasn't to flash, nothing, was to go up there and do the ceremony, because that was what it was about, is to go to the house of power and do the ceremony there and raise the flag. It says, okay. So she goes up there, and he's walking right behind them. And then she starts doing the ceremony. She shuts off all the cameras and everything, because you're not supposed to be recording a ceremony. So she starts doing her thing. And then after that, Matthew, it's time. And then he lifts up the flag, and that was great. And everything was done. And you could see he was happy. Then they take off to the monument. I got to make certain I say this right, because I don't want to be back and forth. But I just know they took off to the monument. And then all these other cops are around there. And then all these people started coming over here, coming to that place. And then Matthew and Rose and Angel were sitting there, and all these other people, the protection were right around, but they were sitting there. And Matthew says, man, it's about time. We have to rise it right now. He says, no, it's not time. It's not time. I'll tell you when it's time, because they're doing a ceremony there, but I'll tell you when it's time. And then all of a sudden she looks in the sky. She says, this cloud just looked like, you see, that's the sign right there, because there was looked like a sign of something. This is what they said. This is what Matthew said, because it's freaking freaky. That's all he said. Now is the time. As soon as they risen that flag, it just started raining like crazy on them. And it was weird, because everybody's like, what the hell is this? But they thought she was some kind of whatever. No, it's just the perfect timing. We can't understand these things. But then they started talking to the Jewish guy. And they started talking to him. They started doing more prayers and everything like that. And he said, the Jewish guy said this, I had been having dreams for 3 months. And the last one, I just woke up and I just said, I got to go west. I don't know why, but I have to go west. So he jumped the plane and he cruised as fast as he can. And the first person he saw was Angel sitting there. And that's why that was of difference. And that's exactly what he said. He just doesn't know why, but he's seen her in her dreams. So that's what it was. And that's why he knew it was her. That's why, that's you. And that's what the story was. And he didn't know what was going on, but that's when they started doing that. When he saw that flag, I don't know what happened to him or how he felt about certain situations. But I take it that he went up that hill being who he was as a Jew and as a soldier, and he had the Ukrainian flag on his arm as well, too. And he walked up there and he told them something to the cops, probably said something to the cops. But that's what, and after that, she came down, and as they were doing the ceremonies, she kept on doing this to the police as soon as everything was done, like this. And the police finally started doing this to them, peace. And they all walked away. So divine intervention or whatever the hell it was, and that rain that came down is exactly at the same time. I don't know what it was over there for that aspect of things, but they will tell you the stories from their point of view, because I'm just trying to grasp it as for what they were saying, and I'm just relaying the message, because there was more to it that they will say themselves. But for me, that was a victory, because all we wanted to do is go up there in peace and do that ceremony the way it had to be done. And that's what happened. And they were like, they had fear, but they had courage. I mean, courage is not the absence of, absence of fear. It's about doing what's right, regardless of anything. And because of that, it did something for that Jewish soldier as well, too. Because in order to make wrongs right, sometimes we just have to look at it for what it is and try to forgive no matter what. Because she said, Hitler stole that from us, and we're trying to make it right. So hopefully that makes sense.
That does. Wow. So some random guy started getting dreams for the last 3 months, and he's seen her in his dreams, and he just woke up that one day before. However, he got, do you know how he got to Parliament Hill? Did anybody ever say, did he fly? Did he drive? Did he know?
No, but I have his contact number, and that's where you guys have to start talking to him because he's back in BC, maybe.
Wow, yeah, definitely. We would definitely like to bring him on and to share, to share his story about him dreaming. And so he just saw her and knew it was her from his dreams. Like, that is profound divine intervention. And then Mother Earth just shedding tears, crying at the time that the flag went up. Like, wow, that must have been so powerful. How did they all feel after the ceremony? Like, you must have talked to them afterwards, and like, what was their feelings like, just being able to complete this ceremony without any arrests, without any charges, without any hassles, and having this guy out of nowhere come and protect them against these monsters with guns.
I don't know how they felt. I'm gonna get right back in here because something's going on with my phone again. I'll tune back in, okay?
Yeah,
Just give
for
me
sure.
two seconds here.
Remy says, thanks for sharing that, Jesse. Appreciate it. We should all hear what happened to our donations. I'm not sure about that, but I just heard the story. Adrien had called me earlier, and he told me some of this stuff that happened, and I was like, wow, I think we really need to update people, because that's very powerful, having someone, that's obviously the swastika, and the Jewish people, it's a big thing with Hitler, and who knows all of what happened there. Lots of different theories and stories, but they were definitely affected by that symbol. And the Thunderbird symbol, having a symbol that looks like what was stolen from their people, and them not allowing to have them allowed to be presenting their flag of their people that they've had for hundreds, if not thousands of years, not being able to present that flag or that symbol. And someone out of the blue, some Jewish soldier, high ranking, got a lot of flags and bars or whatever it is that they have on their shoulder, and to come and be able to help them, protect them, be there for them, and just show them that they are doing what's right. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I get from all this, is that he may be solidified, confirmed that what you're doing is right.
I think sometimes in order for us to heal, like I said, we have to go down to the past. Even the atrocities, and realize that sometimes the best way to actually get over things is to go through hell sometimes in order to get to heaven. And also understanding that forgiveness, regardless of who it is and what it is probably the hardest thing. But that's how powerful we are as people, that once we let that go, it does not control us anymore. And I think I'm not that kind of a person, but it made me think quite a bit this morning and yesterday about what was going on. And even going down to Mirror, Alberta, listening to these people and coming together, from tensions that people had before, coming together in a good way. I mean, there were such good things yesterday. But when I heard that story about that really hit me in the heart, because, I mean, we are raising the swastika, and this is a Jewish man, you see? And having the story of where it came from to begin with. And we said to them, and the woman stood their ground and said, we're not against anybody, but we're here to take back what was perverted or perversed in its own way, because it has to be right, because they'll always use this symbol against everyone if we don't. That's what their message was. And then that's why he was crying about it. But at the same time, too, and he said he had to do it for his own understanding. So that is the thing that had to happen. And this was the story that I got at late at night this and early this morning. So from what I heard last night was something else until they were ready to talk to me about what was going on. So it was quite it was quite I guess you could say different, because it changes a lot of thoughts that I have to take with to my elders this week, especially when we had our own ceremonies in Saskatchewan, and we're trying to have unity from east to west with our tribes. And from east to west, it has never been done, from the Cree, from all the way to Blackfoot, from the Haida all the way down to to Ojibwe and to Algonquin. It never has happened, but we're trying to bring something together that's actual unity. But we are in spiritual warfare, and a part of that is we have to kind of rectify certain situations for us to make peace. It's hard, but we have to try to do these things, and it's going against the grain. And I think that's the only way that we are able to save ourselves from what is coming, is having real discussions.
That's what it's about, is us discussing in a honorable way where there's not attacking, because the only way we can move forward is for us to discuss the present, discuss the past, discuss the future, and come to some kind of resolution where everyone can be happy and benefit from whatever it is that does transpire.
Yes, and what else can I say about that? But as soon as that flag was risen, it started raining like crazy. And they took off their shoes, like they said when they were praying. They took off their shoes because they have to be grounded. And the Jewish man did that as well too. He understood. So it was just a beautiful ceremony, especially from both of them coming together and understanding that it must be true. Because there was people that are walking through that crowd, and they say this must be true. And we were talking about. I didn't know, because, like I said, I wasn't there. I had to let the woman take reins of this, because those women are ones that told us men to shut the hell up and sit down and let them use their hearts for the power of women. And it's hard for men sometimes, but when you see how powerful and beautiful women really are, the life givers, the ones that were the real warriors of Oka crisis that stopped things, the ones that were always there, no dapple, that were the ones that knew what had to be going on, because we have to put the power in the woman. And by seeing how much courage they had, especially when they were rising and they were walking, these women against an army or whoever, I don't know, the police officers, whoever, they had a help of a Jewish soldier. And that is profound. You can't make that shit up. I'm sorry, you just can't. And then I'm just sitting there like, what? Because I was just sitting there talking to them. What are you talking about? Brother, I need to talk to you. You're talking about this Jewish guy, this, and this. And I don't know. You don't make sense. I'll phone you back in about a half hour, an hour. And all of a sudden he said, yeah, the longhouse is phoning. So I had to go talk to them in the longhouse. And I was explaining the reason why we designed this, what do you call, it's a spiritual, Thunderbird spiritual war flag to the longhouse. And I had to kind of like, they had suggestions from their territory as to why they wanted to redesign it in their territory. And I still have to talk to my elders here. But either or, after listening to the longhouse, and I finally, Angel kind of explained everything to the T that she needed to explain, I was like, that doesn't happen. And she says, I know, there was miracles for us that day. It rained right as soon as we lifted up that flag. Immediately it started raining, and all these things started going on. And then, and then we were about to walk away, and we're going to put on our shoes. And then the Jewish man said, ladies, it's not done yet. It's not done yet. And the Jewish man started praying as well, too. All three of them were crying, holding that flag while they were doing what they had to do. And they are both all, they were done. And then after that, they started walking. As soon as they walked up that hill, they said, that road, it was Matthew that said that, and I can't really put words into anything, but what he said, it was just so weird because as soon as he got to that part, it just all of a sudden there's no clouds and it would stop raining immediately, and there was a warm sun. So I don't know, like it's just weird because what their point is, I wasn't there, but this is just what they said to me, and I was like, what's going on? And that was okay. That warmed up my heart today because that means there's a chance of peace and unity that we need to have.
Well, if either of them are interested on sharing their story here of what happened, please let them know that it's an open invitation for them. Pila from our Facebook says she saw you talking with Longhouse Stewart Mayau yesterday, who we've had here on the Missing Link. Was that a live that you did, or how would she have saw you guys talking?
That was a Zoom. That was a live Zoom, and we were talking about the flag because it was a very controversial flag. Because I had to make 2 renditions of it. The first one they didn't approve, and the second one they said they needed me to take it back to how they have theirs. We need to rip it out of their hands, and that's what my elder said from a very powerful residential school survivor up in Saskatchewan. And she said this has to be this way, and the men also they understood what needed to be done, and they said if you're going to go this way, you're going to have to take it back from you. You can't ask, because it's appropriation what they have done, so you have to take it back and let the world know. So we designed our flag, what do you call the Thunderbird war flag, and that's the Thunderbird war flag is a spiritual war flag, and it's not the red and what do you call yellow, black, red, and white, what do you call ceremonial flag with the 2 feathers. It is a very powerful flag, and that's where we risen up there. And when they saw that, they had concerns at the longhouse, but I had to explain why it was designed that way the second time it was designed. And there's and if you must know, Hitler never liked the stars, I believe, or something like that. And we had the star inside of that, and we made certain, like it was designed a certain way, and that was it. And they got full blessings from it. And now I had to explain to Stuart why it was designed that way and what was going on. And they understood exactly what we were talking about. But like I said, I still have to talk to the elders and see, because they have to phone me back, or I have to phone them back after this weekend, because they had a lot of, over the last month, there was a lot of arguments between the nations there, between right and wrong and everything. We have to let them do their thing. But as for me, like, talking about these things with the longhouse and Angel and Patty and, people going through. Now, Patty wants to talk with her nation on that side. And the same thing that Stuart was saying too, it can be a connection between the East Coast and the West Coast Native Americans coming together, because that really hasn't happened before. It hasn't happened between the, what do you call the Algonquin and the Cree. There's always been history, but this might even unify things together, because we sent them, what do you call a Thunderbird war flag, and it's black, and that's the declaration of war, basically, for a lot of people, how intimidating and how powerful it looks. But the reason why it had to be that powerful is because it had to yell, and it had to be a sign that things could be bad or good, depends on how we walk. And after talking to these cops the other day, and I explaining to them that this is bigger than you think, that it could be bigger, and you have to understand. And after a while, a Jewish man comes, and it's just like, I don't even know. I just can't, I just don't know what to think about it. But at the end of the day, I'm just sitting here trying to be peaceful and have a coffee, and just say, I'm glad everything went the way it had to go, because that's all we were there to do for the nation here. And that's all we had to do, is bring the flag to the house of power. And that's why I don't do ceremony with J.D. Anderson or Sipico or anybody who has shook hands with power. I never have, and I never will, because it's not because I don't like them or anything. I'll always try to be friendly with people. But the thing is, there's something to be said about understanding who you are in politics or in culture. And we can't do these things. It has to be honorable. And that's why we're taking that flag over there. Not only because of that, is because we believe and omens and signs and all of that ceremonies. It's a start of something that they had to see, you know, and but we succeeded, and they didn't stop us. We had the help of divine. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it was. But that's what it was. The Canadian might was right in front of us, and we succeeded. And it's a beautiful thing. And I say to the cops too, thank you. I thank you to the people that you know, maybe you had orders, but thank you for understanding significance behind it. Even that Jewish man, thank you. Thank you for the crazy Indian Brotherhood. Thank you for the Longhouse. Thank you to the woman that bared their hearts, because that is a sign that we can come together. And thank you for East Coast and West Coast actually speaking about these things, because that means we can get over our indifferences. And that's the reason why Canada is sick, is because we can't come together.
That's
So
for sure. And there's lots of people that want to keep us divided. There's someone in the comments here from Facebook says, can you ask Adrien, if you don't mind, about Dave Bjorkman?
I really don't know Dave Bjorkman too much. I think I have probably spoke to him, maybe. I spoke to so many people lately, you know, so many people that I'm not good with names. I'm really good with faces, but I'm good with anything that comes in significance, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? But I know the name, but I just can't put the face in the name, if that makes sense.
Okay, and Remy's asking another question. Is Adrien associated and friends with Colin Big Bear? Because someone showed me a video that reflects his proceeds from masks went to Amnesty International, and that is UN. A friend brought some Louis Riel merch and was told later he is Justin Trudeau's cousin.
You know what? I cannot talk about people or understand people or who they are. I do associate myself with Colin Big Bear, and like I said, in my position, this is the reason why that swastika flag is so powerful and great on my end. I had so many people come to me, but they never wanted that swastika flag around them because of probably political affiliations. You know what I mean? Probably because of their affiliations with other people. And when I walk with that and I say, we're going to talk and this is the flag, a lot of people were scared. Colin was scared at the beginning. He says, I don't want that flag, you know. Ron was scared. Like I said, Mark Friesen was scared. He was just didn't want that flag there. As a matter of fact, he posted on Twitter. He doesn't want nothing to do with the Nazi flag. Everybody was saying these things. But regardless of anything, anybody who holds that flag just lost their political association with any party at all. Any party, doesn't matter what. And anybody that even walks with that and says this is what it is, I cannot be with that symbol because it destroys a part of their security with their affiliations. So for me, anybody comes this way, doesn't matter what Green Party or whatever, I'll talk to them. I'll tell them this is the symbol I go through because it's natural law. Now, I will sit here and listen to you and talk to you no matter what, only because we have to come together. Or by listening and talking to them, you know what they do? They tell me where they're going, and it gives me more information as to where I need to go. If I don't talk to people and call them friends or call them associates or call them whatever, but coming together, even if it's my enemy, then how will I know the next step to go? Hopefully that makes sense.
Totally. Diane from our Facebook says, I wish we could see the current rendition of the Thunderbird war flag. Is that something that you can show and would like to show everyone here today?
We can, but I'm going to let you guys know this is the flag that was stolen, and we have to take it back because we don't want anyone to use that and misappropriate it again, especially the political parties, especially the media. That's why we're taking it back the way it used to be. And because we look at how it was created, it had to be created, and we had to sit there for 2 times. So yes, we can, and I can send that to you, probably text if anything, but I'll have to see if I can do that, right? So
Yeah. You don't
I'll
actually
say,
have a flag. You don't have a flag with you that you could show?
no, I cannot take the flag out, but I can send it to you so that way you know, right?
Okay.
And I sent it to you just now, and that's why it was sent that way. The Thunderbird on top, the star in the middle, you know.
So Matt's saying here, Adrien, you're not aligned with JD, which is an agent of the crown, but you're aligned with Colin Big Bear Ross, correct? He just said that Colin wouldn't even want the flag, so I'm not sure what you mean by aligned with him. They are both Native American Indians, so they're still, they have some kind of, you know, bloodlines, I guess. But he sells masks and proceeds go to Amnesty International, an arm of the UN. Why does he associate with UN puppets?
You will have to talk to him, Matt. I tell you right now, it is better to dilute yourself, not to follow. Do you understand? In politics, this is the problem with people. The problem with people is this: when you try to do a movement, you have to know where people are going. I had to go on that side, I had to go on this side, I had to go this side, and I knew a lot of people were scared of my presence when I went there because of these flags. And talking about ceremony and unity is not just a handshake. It's not. And understanding that I don't wish no death upon JD Anderson or anybody or Tamara Litch or, even Justin Trudeau. I don't care. It's not about that. We don't want nothing to happen to people in good with if you're a good man or a good woman, you don't wish that on anybody. You wish for the best possible result. But I am natural law, and I have to be natural law. So that means I have to talk about water and all these things and natural rights the best way I can. And if I don't know, then I'm gonna have to shut the hell up, right? But when it comes down to those people, that is their issues, not mine. All I can do is try to, if I can be a good man, maybe that will help them. Maybe not. I don't know. I cannot say anything for them. But that's the best I can do, right?
Totally. And is this where people can see the flag?
Yep.
Venus Starshine said at adriantherealist.com products Thunderbird rises flag. Is that the
Yeah.
Thunderbird war flag that she's linked to?
Yeah.
And that's the latest rendition?
That's her latest rendition. And the one that we sent over there had to do ceremony in order for it to actually get risen. And I tell you right now, and this is what I've been talking to with my my elders. The reason why we posted that one over there is because we're trying to send it to what's the Wetton, and it's up to them. We told them where they can get it, and that is for their territory because of the RCMP going through. That's why it was like that. And when it was designed, the second version, I was scared, you know. But after speaking and going and talking, it was hard, a hard decision because I was the last one to make that decision between the 11 elders that were split, And I said, screw it. And people were telling me, don't do it, Adrien. Now you're getting too close to the sun. I said, no. If we're going to do it, we're going to have to go all the way in. We can't just put the tip in. We have to go all the way down, right? So, and that's what happened. And then I was sitting there and I was waiting for all, and people were scared after that. Like, I'm supporting you, Adrien, but this, I said, no, I'm scared too, but you have to have courage. And that's what it was. And that's how it was. And now at the end of the day, having the full support of the what they call longhouse and the aspect of things, but they'll have their own rendition that they're saying if I have to talk to the elders over here. And the next thing is we're going to have to talk between the East, what do you call, meets the West, and we'll have a lot of arguments between our elders and their elders, because there's a problem with super Indians. What I mean by super elders and everything, they have different cultures of who is right and who is wrong. But at the end of the day, if we spend about 2 weeks beating each other up after a while, then we come to a conclusion. And that's how we come to a conclusion with the peace pipe before. But at the same time, we have to respect each other. And then the true cause of unity is coming together, even in our nations first. And then later on, we have to learn how we're going to come together as a force to go against UNDRIP or whatever that's unnatural or unholy to our land. And that's how it has to go, right?
Just a piece of friendly advice about you using the analogy of the tip and stuff. You used it on the last live, and this one, that's a little bit crude for,
Yeah, I hold you.
everybody. So if you could find a better analogy, would probably benefit you if you want to reach out more people. And I know some people don't mind, but I know others would be bothered a little
I
bit
can
by
respect that. I can respect that totally. I could totally do that. Yeah.
just a piece of friendly advice. So we
Yeah.
have here Remy was saying, I appreciate Adrien answering questions because many will block you for asking. And I have no problem people asking questions as long as people are respectful in the questions. When people start attacking, whether you agree with anybody or not, or you don't like the person or not, you can ask questions away. But as soon as those questions start attacking the person, I always protect the person who I'm interviewing, whether I'm in alignment with them or not, whether it's just, I want to get the information. As long as we can have respectful conversations, respectful comments, then yeah, you guys are welcome to ask whatever questions. And then Adrien has been great here, and he's been answering all of the questions because I think that you want people to see you for who you are, not for who people say you may be associated with, or trying to paint you as a picture of something you may or not be, just because you've gone on the same stage as somebody, or just because you've had a conversation with somebody. It doesn't mean that you're best buddies and you're in alignment with who and what their agenda is, because what is your agenda? Let's just ask that. What is your agenda right now in the whole grand scheme of things?
I want to just do drywall, to be honest with you. I don't want to go back because this ain't fun. This ain't fun doing this. It's hard work. Nobody wants to be here, and if they do, you pick up that swastika and walk down that road. Seriously, you can do that, and I'll support you for your freedom to do so. But a lot of people were praying for the last 3 years. A lot of people were saying there's got to be somebody that has to do this. Somebody has to walk and be that leader somewhere else. I don't consider myself a leader at all, but I do believe that after my daughter passed away, something had to be done. After when Owen came to me and asked me, and I asked him, okay, where's your leaders? Because I went through politics. I understand these things. And I'm not trying to knock down people, but they set up the stage, but they could not play in that game. And they wanted unity with Native Americans. And I had the answer. But the thing is, was that really the answer? But I had to be that person that had to test it. And I said, I got something that probably is so crazy in my work because this was told to me a long time ago. And when I said that, oh shit, now I'm in the damn pot with everybody else. Believe me, it doesn't matter. If I could just go back and make $150,000, $200,000 a year again, I do that just for myself because I have a lot of daughters and I have a family that I have to take care of. I'm a grandfather, and I can live peacefully by myself or go somewhere else and go hunt and do photography that I want to do. But I realized nobody's stepping up and nobody has the kahunas to do so. And if they did, why don't you guys do something? Because none of you do have it. You think fame is a great thing? No. The hardest thing in life is actually to do something outside of the box. And I had to sit there. You guys prayed for how many years? Something got to change. And then most of you gave up. Oh, well, nobody's doing nothing. Take the damn country. There was one picture I saw where everybody was doing a Hitler salute except for that one guy just sat there and crossed his arms. It takes guts. and courage. And you think it doesn't, but it does. And then most of you people say, why didn't anybody do anything when Hitler was rising? Well, why ain't anybody doing anything now? And you guys all complain. You guys all complain about the government, but you guys don't have the heart to do it. And I believe you do. But the problem is with you guys, you're sitting there and you're complaining. He's associated with this. She's associated with that. You guys are playing small surface politics. Small. And you wonder why Canada is divided? Because you're divided. You guys do not have the wherewithal, the brains to figure this out. Then guess what? You might as well just give up and give this country to China. We might as well just rise the Chinese flag. But that's the problem with you guys, because you guys think that, oh, I'm here for fame. That's not fame. That's infamy. I'm infamous. Infamous because of these things. My people spat on me because for telling the truth. You know, and when my daughter passed away, they even attacked me saying that it's better that she died. That's how you guys were. And then that's when I realized how much anger and pain you guys have. And then you wanted the world to change Canada for you, for your freedoms. You guys are so broken inside spiritually. Now I had this vision. And then my elders told me I had to walk with it. I don't want to. But it just seemed, because it was told to me in the past, and for some divine reason, Owen showed up, and all you guys went against Owen, because everybody was against Owen. At least when he lifted up that flag, he knew that there was no going back, because I guarantee, I told you this, as soon as he did that, every single person in that trucker convoy turned on him. Everybody. And he was saying, I don't got no friends anymore. Now I'm stuck with this effing flag and you. Why? It's because it destroyed every affiliation that you have with the perverse system. That's why. And now he has nowhere else to go. He has nowhere else to go except, and I said, that's the power of that flag. It divides people, the truth from the lie. And now he's stronger than ever. One time he didn't know where he's going, but now he believes in that movement. And I don't know where I was supposed to go. But these women believed it too. They left J.D. Anderson. They were right beside J.D. Anderson and they left him. Because they wanted the truth just like you people did. And that's the hard thing about it. And you guys ask me, do I want to do this? No. It'd be easier for me just to go out there and make, $10,000 a month and just sit there and at least go do photography and I'd be living in peace. But there's no heroes. There's none. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. And we also had Matt, who's been having some of those questions, tough questions for you. He said also, Adrien, thanks for being straight up with him and, to just answer these questions straight up. And, I see, and I'm in agreement with, all of what you just said. And, many things have brought us to these roads. Many people have gone whatever directions they have gone. But like Matt said earlier, I don't want death upon these people, right, that are maybe pulled to the wrong directions. We need to harmonize and come together as people, right? Whatever happened in the past, whatever alignments were in the past, we're in a spiritual battle. We don't want to make it into a physical battle where it's going to be who's got more guns, who's got more people, and there's going to be a lot of death everywhere. Nobody wants that. At least I know I don't, and I see that you don't want that either. And how Matt was saying, he doesn't want death. So, we need to figure out how we can mend these fences and, come together as people that all want the same thing. And I think we all want, to be free from the chains. We don't want to have this dictatorship, communism, socialism, China coming into Canada, United Nations soldiers. We don't want this UNDRIP. There's a lot of things that we don't want. And I think the people that are standing, firm on the things that we don't want, you can align yourself with, because that's how we're going to fix this place, is by, figuring out what we can align each other with, and then focusing on those things. And I think that's how we can get through this kind of pivotal time in history that we're all in right now.
You're right. It's about understanding, regardless if we hate each other, we have to. Here's the thing that a lot of people say, even though I try to be as truthful as I can, because they don't like me, they don't care. And I've always said this: I may not like somebody, but if they tell the truth, I'll listen. Because my grandfather used to say that. You may not like him. And that's a hard thing, and I guess it's about emotions. And this is why the government can easily manipulate us, is because of our emotions, and destroy our vote because of our emotions. We might have somebody so truthful, but because we don't like him, guess what happens? It's done, right? And that's the funny thing.
Matt saying analysis of people's ties is essential in an Ordo Ab Chao agenda. I don't give a shite about fame. There's a difference between division and surgery, especially in a world of cancer with no such things as an organic movement in history. You are your own savior and the protagonist of your own story. Remy saying they hide the real truth from being shown to us. They censor it. I'm talking about people who claim to be for freedom, and yet they hide important information, like the gentleman here in Matt's videos. This is unacceptable. There are many actors in it tricking us. So there are, snakes that are, posing as, sheep, but they come in wolf's clothing. And, there are those out there that are agents for, agents of chaos, agents for, the darkness, that are on the other side, which we do have to be aware of. And, and that's why questions are great. And, if you do have questions of people, and if they can answer them, in an honest way without getting offended by the questions, that shows a lot about that person's character.
That's so true. That is so true.
Wow. So what's your take on all what just transpired here at the ceremony, and with this Jewish fellow, and just what's your overall thoughts of just that just threw a whole loop in this this thing that you probably have been working on for a while now?
When I talk to the ladies, or I talk to Matt, or I talk to a lot of people that come this way and we talk, and they want this and that and this and that and this, I say, you know what? We don't go through the timing of what we think. They used to always say time itself, when we look at a date or something, is just a time of measurement that is man-made law. But when it comes down to natural law, we go with the feeling, we go with understanding. Like my elders told me, sometimes he said, now you stay off of social media for 2 weeks, let everything simmer. And I had to stay off there for 2 weeks, and just did my thing. And only because they said, they have a feeling. Because I try to, I'll tell you right now, I don't have friends. I really don't. Like I said yesterday, I don't have friends. You might have 1 or 2 real friends in your life. For me, the way I walk, I have a lot of associates. I have a lot of people that come my way. I have a lot of people that respect me. I have a lot of people that knock on my door, spend a night here, and all these things. But to call them friends is very few. When they break down, I'll go change their tire for them. Whether it's 150 kilometers away, 200 kilometers, I'll help them. And whenever I ask, I rarely ask for help from anybody, only because I can do it myself. But when I do need help, barely anybody comes except for my grandma, And that's just because people use you as much as they can for their own gain. So I don't distinguish myself with friends or anything, but I do have grandchildren and I do have 7 daughters, you know? So when I look at these things, what am I really doing this for? It was only because of the fact that my grandfather, he told me a long time ago, these things are going to happen. You know, these things are going to happen to you and everything. These things are going to happen with people. So when I look at the life, I can walk away. I can walk away. I can go do photography. I can go do my music because I like writing music and recording. I can do, you know, my videos or do, you know, direct for acting if I needed to, or clothing designing because I'm a clothing designer. I told you that I'm a clothing designer. I went to 3.5 years. I got a lot of hobbies that keep me going. But something is raging inside of me, just like almost every other Canadian. And all I want to do is be that spark because I know there's going to be, even down here, these comments. Maybe you are the real leader. Maybe you are the real person that will make the change for Canada. Maybe I'm just a spark. Maybe I'm not. But all I just say is this. One day you're just going to have to stand and march against all odds by yourself. Pick up your flag by yourself. You don't need the world to tell you. They'll guide you, but you don't need the world to tell you. You have a story. You have something deep down inside. Something deep down inside that needs to be taught. You don't need 1,000 people behind you. You just need to get up, pick up whatever you need, and walk. Walk that hard path. It will be hard at first, but you have to understand that it's for your grandchildren. It's for your wife, your daughters, your sons. It is for Canada. It's for your neighbors. It's for the farmers. It's for everybody. And going against that grain, there's racism, there's division, there's lies, there's snakes, there's politicians, there's police, there's a lot of people. But you just keep going. You walk with your heart righteously. Righteousness and the truth behind everything. They will never be able to touch you. No matter, even if they lie against you, they can lie. They'll say every single thing about you. But no matter what, all that matters is what you know. I told you about my life prior to. I told you what they have done to me and how I had to go through the ceremony and everything. And I might as well share this story with everybody because it might make sense to you guys. 7 years, about maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I had this dream. I don't know how long ago it was, but then I told a good friend of mine, his name is, what do you call it, from Alexander Reservation, Chris Yellowbird. But before that, I had this dream that I was walking counterclockwise in Edmonton, and I had this flag, and this guy was named Leon Keenash walking right beside of me. And as we're walking, we were seeing all these vehicles just honking as we're walking. Some of them were just maybe happy, but we had this feeling like they were scared and there was anger against us. But as soon as we got to our destination over the overpass, we see all these Native Americans looking at us. They were all looking at us, and then they came running down because we made our journey great. And they were all Native Americans walking with their regalia and everything. And I told Leon, don't say nothing till we get there. And as soon as we got there, the natives came running down, and fire came from my breath, and I destroyed them all. And I wonder what that meant. So Chris Yellowbird, he messages me one day and says, hey, do you have a dress? You know, my daughter, she wants to dance jingle dress. And I say, hey, I got a dress. I made it my daughter. Maybe with the little jingles, it could be really good. So I met him at Alexander Reservation, and it was at a powwow, and I gave him that dress. And he says, this is perfect. All we have to do is jingles on it and everything like that. And I was telling him, yeah. So that dream you were telling me about last week, he said, because I told him a dream that last week. What was it about? And I explained it everything. Explained everything to him. Well, I hold ceremonies now with I just got my first lodge and everything in my sweat, and I would be honored if you came. Okay, just message me. So after about a week later, he messages me. I was talking to my friend about your dream. He said, make that flag that you had in your dream, but you have to draw it with your subconscious. Just draw it out. Don't think too much, draw it out. That's what it was described. Don't put too much emphasis on it, just do it. Okay, so I made it really fast. I got this picture. Okay, make a flag out of it. I remember because I still have the receipt, right? I made the flag. I still have the receipt. It cost me $95. So I made it, got the flag about a week later. And so I got the flag. Okay, so we're gonna have a sweat this week, and I'm gonna invite some elders. So 4 elders came that weekend. There was a shaking tent, a sweat, a pipe ceremony, and at the same time we had we had a naming for the name Native American. So they gave me the name Chief Thunderchild Boy, right? So I was sitting there. We did the whole thing, but this woman, she had to understand the dream, and I explained the dream to her, and she said, "What comes to you? The first thing that comes to you?" I said, "Honestly, after that dream, when I destroyed everybody with my breath, I will tell you what it is. It's the corruption of my chief and council. It is the drugs on the street. It is the sexual abuse that women go through. It's the gang systems that my peers go to. It's the total division of what's going on in the reservation and Native American politics. Every single thing down the road." So no, she was mad when I was talking about these things. So the next day, she says, "I can't listen to this. I can't listen to this right now." And I said, even our elders don't even speak. They lost their tongue. "I can't listen to this," she said. "I'll be back tomorrow." So the next day she comes back and she tells me, "I wanted to pick up that stick, that little willow over there, and hit you with it yesterday, what you were saying about your own people. You turned against your own people." And I said, "I'm sorry, but I had to sit there and drink tea and think about it. And you're right. The people don't listen to their elders no more. And when I had to come over here and look around, you're right. You're correct. And I'm going to tell you something," she said. "As I was going through this in the shaking tent and everything, we have 3 predictions that's going to happen to you. 3 things are going to happen to you." I said, "What are you talking about?" So she told me, "First thing is going to happen is you're going to fight your own people, just like in that dream, how you felt. The second thing is you're going to go on a journey as you're walking, as a journey, but it's going to be with that girl that you bring here, which is your daughter. And the last thing you're going to do is you're going to raise that flag. We can't tell you anything about your daughter because it's going to be sad." That's what they told me. Okay. I thought it was bullcrap, because I tried to get into ceremony a lot of times, but as they're talking, it had everything to do with that dream and everything. So this happened in 2018 or 19, if I'm not mistaken, that I was doing photography in BC, but I'm a photographer, so I know fashion photography, and I know a lot of these models that do these fashion poses, but they were doing things for murdered and missing women, on Facebook, because they wanted to have attention for, bring awareness to a murdered and missing Indigenous woman. So I just happened to come across on the Facebook scroll. But the more I watch it, the more you could see them, and I'm not trying to knock them down. I'm just saying this is just from my point of view. It wasn't, people can take it any way they want. From my point of view, it looked like the sexualization of murdered and missing women, because it just seemed like they wanted attention just for their modeling career. That's how I saw it. It wasn't about poetry. It wasn't about certain things. It wasn't about understanding, bringing these in, but it was just about fashion, because these women were always in fashion. They're agents. They do their own thing, their own, their own little, their own little thing before with fashion. But it just seems like they were sexualizing this issue, because my mother was a part of murder missing Indigenous woman. She would have been, because I remember she got kidnapped at one time. So I understand. My mom was a prostitute and she was a drug addict. So I know a lot about these things. But to put that up there was something else. So I said something. I said something just straight to the contrary of what they were doing. And then, I got attacked. I got attacked big time. Because I was in BC. I didn't know when I left the zone, because my phone was shut off because, no service. But as soon as I got to the surface, coming back to Edmonton, the service, you could just see everybody hating me. It just turned into I don't know, like 800, 900 comments about bashing me for my opinion. But a lot of people were supporting it too. So I started trying to defend myself. Like, he's not here, he's not defending himself. So I started defending myself. Then I let that go, and I was on a page called Sober Native Humor, and I was saying some jokes, this and this, and because I write music, hip hop, I was doing like hip hop rhymes, and we're kind of like dissing each other, like funny on Sober Native Humor as who they were. And this one guy did not like it, so what he did was he went on this chat, on this app called Fake Chat. So what they did was they took my picture that said, what do you call it? Make America Great Again, my hat that I had on it. They put it on this fake chat thing, and they said, "Hi, Tim. My name is Adrien, the King, Adrien Thomas. If you keep talking about me, this, I'll steal your child. I kidnap children and I sell them for $10,000 a piece. So if I were you, I'd be quiet."
So they cloned you. They made you look like someone else, used your picture with you having this hat on, and then they started saying these horrible things, making it look like you were saying these things.
Yes. And they posted it, and that thing went viral. Almost, what is that, 4.3 million people saw that with over, I don't know, 100,000 or shares. So it must have been more, but 100,000 shares. I got phone calls from all over the world, and even murdered and missing Indigenous women were sharing that post. It turned dangerous to the point where people phoned every day and they started bashing my business. The guy said I was making a lot of money for my business, and they said, "Ha ha ha! This is what you deserve for saying that. We're gonna destroy your life." My own people were against me because I had an opinion. I called the cops, slander. They could not do nothing. They said, "Oh, well, can't do nothing, can't do nothing." So I went back to BC, or Jasper, to go do some photography. I came back because I needed something to stay away, because whatever. As I'm coming back, the cops phoned me. "Where are you? We have to investigate you now." Because this came from a higher source. It came from a higher source. So they came into my business, raided my business and my house and my vehicle. They went through everything to see if I had children. And this is the height of, remember when they're saying that white vans are going through the reservation stealing kids? So now they're blaming me now. All these Apache Indians all over the world, everybody is blaming me that I'm the guy that's probably stealing kids. So I decided there's two things I can do. Shut down my business, change my number, and hopefully it goes away. But I'll always be named that person. Or secondly, I'm going to fight every single son of a bitch out there. That's what happened. So I started going after chief and councils, the elders for being quiet, the men for bringing drugs into our community, the women, for not raising their children. And I went down to the point where I just kept on jabbing every single one of them, jab, jab, jab. And I said, 64 to 68% of all murdered and missing Indigenous women cases died at the hands of our own people. Did you know that? They didn't want to hear that. If you want to talk real truth, we're going to go down deep. Now, the real truth is it all came from Indian affairs, but people are too stupid to see it. I got kicked out of elder conferences. I got kicked out of a lot of places. My own chief and council wouldn't even allow me on a reservation because of this, this slander. And I had to go to the cops and everything like that, the whole 9 bits. But after a while, I decided I'm fighting everybody because I have to bring the real truth out. You want to be professional victims, or do you want to be warriors? Because that's what we need. We need to be in warriors. So I went against everybody, and that's how it all happened. But at the end of the day, that was it. That was the first prediction they said. What she said, that was the first prediction. First prediction. In along the time that I was fighting these my people, my daughter had an addiction from methamphetamine. She got it from her own cousin that I actually bring into the house. I did not know she was on drugs, but I knew that she was staying on the streets because she got kicked out of her mom's or dad's house or something like that. And I said, well, that's your cousin? I know who she was because my daughter grew up with her, and that was my niece. You can stay here. You can stay with Keisha upstairs. This is my daughter, Keisha. You can stay with her upstairs. Okay. Within that week, it only took 1 week for her to get addicted to methamphetamine. She said it was medicine because my daughter was going through depression. She just lost her little boyfriend. Like, they broke up, and she was crying and says, I'm sick and tired of you crying. Take this. It's medicine. It'll help you feel better. What is it? It's called ice or whatever they call it, you know?
How old
And
was
she was at that time 15. And I was wondering why my daughter wouldn't look at me all the time. She wouldn't look at me. Look at my eyes. She was like this. She wouldn't look at me. She started being a little bit erratic. And then she disappeared for about a week. I didn't know where she was, and everybody said, because me and my ex-wife are not really getting along, but she said, leave her alone. She wants to stay away from you. To find out she was in the same reservation I went and did my ceremonies with her at the time. Alexander Reservation. And this guy, his name is Don Bull. He would give her, methamphetamine freely. So I don't know what it was, but at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, he would. And he finally picked her up and took her over there against her will. Our own people, against her will, kept her there for a week. I didn't know where she was. Finally, she came back to me. She had picked her face all over, sores. And I knew something was wrong. That's the first time I knew that she was on methamphetamine. And this was only 2 weeks. Took 2 weeks when that girl came into my house. And that became a 6-year battle. A 6-year battle of methamphetamine. Every day I try to stop her. I try to stop, but the cops coming through. Taking my daughter away, because I would keep her in my house for 7 days, and the cops would say, you cannot do that, Mr. Thomas. You have to let her out. That's against the law. So I'm trying to do the best I can as a father. I got charged for smashing some windows and knocking down doors at trap houses to drag my daughter out, but those guys have more rights than the father does. You see? They were going to charge me. And when we beat up that guy right in front of his father that one time because he raped my daughter because of the methamphetamine aspect, the police, the sergeant, knew what happened. He let me out in the middle of the night. I'll tell you what, he says, Mr. Thomas, this wrong, this. But he says, off the record. He come and shook my hand and gave me a hug. The cop gave me a hug. You did what a father had to do, and I'm proud of you. I'm opening this gate. You go take care of your daughter. That's why I have respect for the cops. They let me out in the middle of the night. They had to do their job on this aspect, but they let me out. So that's why I beat that charge, because we had a counter charge and they did drop charges, and then he ran. He went back to Jamaica, because we had these people trying to protect their daughters. And then finally, last year in April, her last treatment. She was at the hospital for 30 days because I signed a Form 8, because no matter what I did with the cops had always bailed my daughter out to put her back on the streets, because that's the law now. That's the law. They have more rights than you do as a parent. So I had to do a Form 8. 3 days after she got out of the hospital, she died in an overdose in the back of my vehicle while I was doing CPR. Second prediction that came true. You see? Now the third prediction is when I did my last prayer, I was sitting there, talking, and I got invited to go meet Ron Clark and Nancy's at her birthday. And I went over there, did the prayer, did everything. And everybody was complaining. They said, we're going to make it good now. February is coming along, and we're going to have this big thing. It's called the Unity Convoy. It's been announced it's going to be big. And the first question I ask is, who's your leaders? And he's like, what do you mean? Who's your leaders? You think you're going to get into the sandbox and win this without leaders? I need to know who your leaders are. I should have shut up. I should have. But Owen is like, good fucking question, man. Because when you're there, every single chief and council, just like ours, chief and council, no matter how good of a heart they are, they still have to play the game. If they don't play the game, they'll get another person that'll play the game, or another person will play a game. What I said, what makes you think that your white man politics is ever going to change the system, even if you're honorable, when the system is corrupt? He couldn't say nothing. Good point. And it took me maybe about 3 weeks after meeting him. I said, I got an idea. If you want these things to change, because he kept on asking, throwing all these variables. This is how we beat him. This is how we beat him. I said, no, it ain't. I have an idea so crazy it just might fucking work. He said, what do you mean? It just might work. I showed him that flag, and it only took him less than 20 seconds. As soon as I'm talking, I'm in. If what you say is true, I'm in. Because I've been waiting all this time. And I told Owen, the day you walk with me, and this was told to me, the day you walk with me, you're going to lose all your friends. Nobody wants to be associated with you. No, I can't lose that. I'm not going to lose Freedom George. I'm not going to lose Ron. I'm not going to lose anybody. I know they love me. All these people love me. I know. As soon as it was announced, he lost all his friends. Everybody. And that's why when people talk to me about Owen, I said he at least had the courage, even though he was scared, the courage to walk forward. So that's what I said when I looked at a lot of things. Those three things came to pass, and this is why I'm here. Is because of the path that we walk. And we wonder why, when we look back, it doesn't make sense when you look forward, but it makes sense when you look back. I believe in the divine cause, and I believe in the great creator and the spirit. And when people ask me, are you associated with this person? Are you associated with this person? I tell you, they're not my friends. They're my associates. They're on my path for a reason. And creator has to show us a path, even with our enemies. Because if you don't know your enemy's plans, or you don't know your other people's plans, you're going to fall into the trap. And that's the problem with most people. They separate themselves so fast without understanding the real cause of why, without even questioning, because nobody has courage to actually sit down and have a proper discussion. Maybe then we would actually fix Canada if we all sat together in truth and honesty. But most people are angry. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thank you for sharing. That's very powerful.
Well, that's why I'm here. That's why, I didn't want to be here. I told so many people that. I keep on telling that to the people that ask me, who are you associated with? Are you with J.D. Anderson? Are you with Sipico? Are you with this person? Are you with that person? Do you support Jagmeet Singh? Do you support Justin Trudeau? These people and these people, they're this. And I said, I don't care. That's their problem. That's who they go with. I just have to go there. And if our paths align, there's a reason for it. And the creator will tell you why. Or there's a reason why you have to go this way, because there's information to be learned. So that way you know where to go. We just have to follow our hearts. And our hearts will never lie to us if we're truthful of who we are. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, we had a question here from Matt, and he says, what does Adrien think of Murray Sinclair? I'm sure he could speak mountains to this guy.
Murray Sinclair, Justice Murray Sinclair. I can't really say too much because I don't know where he stands, but I do know that he's involved with a lot of court cases, but at the same time too, something to do with the residential schools, something to do with what they call Stephen Harper, and that case against somebody that, I don't know, it was 2011 that they might have put that paperwork in, but he was also on the paper to be served as well too. So it goes back and forth, depends on who you are and what you are. So I cannot comment on something that I do not know the case of. And is that fair? Is that fair enough to say? Because I don't want to
Of course, you don't have to
survive myself.
comment on anything, and especially if you don't know enough to comment, that's completely acceptable and honest. And that's actually honorable because we don't want you commenting on something that you don't have and just
Yep.
because people want to hear an answer. That's not honorable, right? So what you're doing is great. So when Matt says he's like, I just don't understand how getting on the same stage as controlled opposition actually helps make a difference no matter what you say or do. You just inflate their BS platforms and causes by being there by association.
Well, I'm not running for no political office. That's the problem. I'm not running for that office at all. As a matter of fact, I'm not there to uplift the cause unless it's righteous. I don't go over there and say, we're gonna be liberal today, guys, because then you know I'm a freaking liar. All I'm doing is talking about the truth that's in your heart the best way I can. And talking about all I'm there to do is reclaim this symbol because this symbol holds a key to a Native American future and their past. That's all it's about in reclaiming our heritage and culture. So if I'm on the same stage of them, I'm going to tell you, you ask them what they think about me, and you'll know half of them are scared when they see me coming because they don't know what's going to come behind my words. So maybe you should be asking them that question, not me. Don't ask me why I'm there, if that makes sense, because I'm just there for everybody. I'm there for everybody to learn something. I'm not there for their ego or that ego. I'm just there to, when they ask me, and they ask me honorably, can you come? I don't know if I can. You need to come. People are expecting you over here. They need to hear you. They need to shake your hand. I said, I don't know. And I'm a very, like you ask anybody, when somebody says something, I have anxiety a lot of times. I don't want to go in a big crowd. I don't, and when people give me, when I used to date women a lot of times with girls and everything, they used to come up to me and say, you're a very handsome guy. And that would just shut me down. I'd start stuttering that it actually would actually make me angry when people say that to me because I don't know how to react that way. Then I'll just stutter, and then I hate myself and I said, why the fuck did she even say that shit? You just destroyed it for me. So I walk away and I said, nope. So honestly, that doesn't, I only have to serve justice to one thing. If my grandchild and everybody could sit there and understanding that honorability comes from the swastika in the sky and the great seven grandfathers' teachings, even though I believe in Christian values as well too, we're all connected in good ways, but they're going to destroy your hearts and freedoms because of your soul, your spirit. That's why I'm there, because I have to, if I fight for them, I'm fighting for my grandchild.
Well, thank you so much for sharing what happened yesterday on the Canada's Slave Day. I was saying we went down to Fort Calgary. They were having a festival there, and I kept yelling out, "Happy Slave Day!" And people were like, "Yeah!" And there were the people I was with, like, they heard you say Slave Day, and they were all cheering. So I was yelling that out. There was this festival. I actually got to dance for the first time. I just had double hip replacement surgery 4.5 months ago where they chopped off both of my legs and they stuck these metal bars down my femurs and reattached it to my pelvis. So to be able to dance, 4.5 months later, and I actually got a all backstage pass and I was up on the stage dancing, in front of the crowd. It was really, really neat. So I got a little video I'm going to be posting about that later, but had a great time. My girlfriend came into town. She lives in Edmonton. I'm in Calgary. So our 3-year anniversary is coming up on July 4th. That was our first kiss. And so that's our anniversary date is on July 4th. We were in Banff under a full moon and kissing. And so it was like a really, great day. But I've been posting, these videos and, Happy Canada Slave Day. And, that's basically, we are all still slaves as much as people want to admit it or they don't. Until we all break free together, you may not think you're a slave, but if you still need money, if you still need to make money, if you still need to spend money, then you're a slave to that money system. If you don't never have to work and you just got bank accounts full of money, and maybe you're not a slave. Maybe if you live somewhere where you make your own food, you'd have your own energy, you're in a place where you're not part of the system, maybe you're not a slave. But most other people, 99% of the population, are still slaves. And I think that's what we're all fighting for, is to break free from that slavery system where we can live peace and harmoniously with our fellow brothers and sisters, our fellow men and women and children from every race, color, and creed, religion, sexual orientation, everybody. We just want to be able to live free together. And I think that that's what's deep in everyone's heart, that we want that freedom. And, now is that pivotal time in history where people are standing up, people are speaking out, people are reclaiming their flag because of how important that is to us becoming free. So my hats go off to you, Adrien. I like talking to you. You're very honest in your answers. And, I'm happy that we're able to have these conversations. And like I said, when I come up to Edmonton, if we can arrange to meet and maybe even have a sweat, I would definitely be honored to, have a sweat with you. So I've been to many sweats before. It's been about 4 years since my last sweat. So, that would be something that, if it works in the cards, then, I would definitely be interested in something like that again.
I'll get it right. Whenever you tell me, I'll have an arrangement with the same guy I started with, Chris Yellowbird. And that's where we'll have our sweat in Alexander. And let me know. I'll let you know. It's just a matter of just aligning that time with him. And I'm pretty certain we can have a good sweat there, and should be good.
My very first sweat was at the Stony Plain Indian Reserve, and I was 21 years old, and I had, like, my hair was my everything, and I was just nobody could touch my hair. My hair always had to be perfect, always slicked back. And I just paid, like, I think it was like $60 or $80 for a spiral perm to spiral it, like 3 or 4 days before the sweat. I woke up for the sweat, my very first sweat. I shaved my head. I shaved all my hair off. It was like a rebirth. I came and I spread my hair all around the sweat, and I sat beside the chief. The chief sits right on the opposite side of the door. And, like, the door's here. He was here and I was right beside him. And then, the door was open and they've all put around the peace pipe. And he passes the peace pipe to me, and I smoked some of it. And he asked me to go to the house and get a silver bucket of water, for the rocks. So I went.
Wow. Yeah.
And I went to go get, and when I stepped outside of that sweat lodge, just my very first sweat, and I hadn't even sweat yet, I just had smoked in the peace pipe. What I felt and how I was connected to Mother Nature, I'd never felt that before. I could hear the trees breathing. I could hear the bugs buzzing. I could hear the birds. I heard Mother Nature. Like, for the very first time, I felt how Mother Nature was alive. And then I got the bucket. It was fascinating. Get the bucket, come back, and they close the doors. And then all of a sudden, when they start putting the water on the rocks and it started to get hot, it got so hot in there, Adrien. I thought my ears were going to melt. I'm holding my hands on my ears. I have my hand down on the ground. I'm trying to suck cold air out of the dirt. It was so hot in there. That was the hottest thing that I ever experienced in my life. And I've gone to many sweats afterwards. I've befriended medicine mans where I used to go to the woods, pull out the trees, build the fires, put the rocks on, build the fires, and then people would start coming every Sunday. I would go with them and build these. So I've been to lots of sweats after that, and it was never the first one. The first one, like, if hell was real, it felt like that's how hot this thing was. I literally thought my ears were gonna melt. And but I love the singing and just the visions and the connection to the creator as we're all singing, and just, this communal time is something that's very sacred to me. And that's why I said it would be an honor if we could, somehow, do that.
That would be an honor. I'll talk to Chris and we'll see what we can do. You just give me the date and we'll see what we can do. It's usually held on a Saturday, so.
Okay, awesome. It might be 3 weeks or a month or whatever. I'll be here. I'm not sure exactly for another couple weeks, but we'll plan a time where I'll let you know when we're coming back and whatever works out. If it's not this month, next month, whenever, right? Like whenever, things align when it's right, the right time. I'm always, on good alignment and good timing. But thank you, and I hope this maybe we can build a friendship because sounds like a good friend would be something that would be beneficial into your life.
Perfect. Amen. That's perfect. Well, thank you for having me on the show. It was great. Hopefully I answered everybody's questions, and there you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Thanks again. We've done 2 special the missing links yesterday. We had another one today, so it's going to be 12 days in a row that we're going to have missing links. I think there's going to be 13 missing links in 12 days. So we're doing the best that we can, and we're just trying to enlighten people that are willing to listen. We're shining a light on some of these dark things that we've been having to experience. A lot of people don't want to talk about, and we just want to come together so we can finally break free from these chains that we've all been enslaved in. So love you all. May the source be with you in all that you do, Adrien. Protection around you and your mission and all your people. And for everybody that's listening, please share this out to anybody that you may think that may be interested in getting an update about this amazing, fascinating story about what happened at Parliament Hill with the Thunderbird flag and with the Clans mothers. And, this just amazing story that happened. So thank you, everybody, for all your likes, comments, hearts, shares, and stars. We appreciate all of your love and support. And we'll see you next time we see you back on The Missing Link. Thanks again, Adrien.
Thank you.
Okay, bye now. Bye, everyone. So we'll see you next week. Next week, we've got another full lineup, 5 days in a row. On Monday, we've got Jen Neefer. So she's actually the Intel lady. So she does spoof videos on people that are like the Q movement and some of these things. She does funny videos. She's from the UK. So she's going to be on Monday. On Tuesday, we've got Michael Bell. He's a soldier, a Canadian soldier, and he's going to come and share his story. On Wednesday, we've got Josephine J. Walsh, who's been injured by the injection. She's going to come share her story. On Thursday, we've got Todd Medina of Soulology. He interviews people. He's been in the spiritual movement and the community for a very long time. They've got thousands of interviews behind his belt. This is interview number 505 for us. And then on Friday, we've got Tony Rodriguez. He's an author. He's got a website. He's going to share his story. So thanks again, everybody. Appreciate y'all. You're welcome. Good to see you again. Although briefly to Adrien, great show. Just bless your heart, Adrien. Yeah, bless him. Thank you for sending. Thanks for all the fine storytelling and updating, Adrien Jesse. A pleasure to hear, even in the U.S. I like to hear that. Thank you. Have a great weekend, everybody, and happy Canada Slave Day. Happy July 4th Slave Day. Whatever you want to call it. I like to celebrate things, and people say like holidays, this is a pagan holiday and that holiday. I find anytime that you can get together with friends and family, have some food, have some drinks. I don't drink alcohol, but drinks of juice or water, commune, have a fire, get-togethers, reasons to get together. I always like that. And, even like, yeah, we got invited. Angeline just came into town, and my buddy says he's got all back access passes and free parking, and come join, and gave us some food vouchers, which was amazing, right? To have my girlfriend come into town, and we wanted to do something for Canada Day, and it just happened. So just keep on keeping on. Stay in the truth, stay in the love, and we'll figure out, we will win this spiritual battle that for our souls when we have good people like all of you that help in any way that you can help. So love you all, and we'll see you next time we see you back on